This is Lolliedieb, the developer of lolMiner, which is a miner you might know from being the first to implement such features as numerous LHR unlocks, zombie mode that allowed you to mine Ethereum on low memory GPUs, and most recently the massive KASPA mining efficiency optimizations. Now, not only is this guy a genius when it comes to understanding how the actual mining technology works behind the scenes, but being the developer of one of the biggest softwares out there for mining also gives him a very unique perspective of what's currently going on within the world of GPU mining. And in this video, I had the pleasure of sitting down with him to discuss the current state of GPU mining, starting with looking back at the biggest events in mining 2022 and discussing the real aftermath of those events, and then moving on to what he foresees the near future of GPU mining to look like and what his perspective of mining in 2023 and beyond will be like. This is more of a podcast style episode, so sit back, relax, and learn from one of the most knowledgeable guys in mining today. But first, quick word from our sponsor. The Ridge wallet and the new Ridge key case. And guys, I am super excited about this sponsor. I finally feel like a real YouTuber now that an established brand like Ridge wants to sponsor my videos. So Ridge makes these super clever wallets that fit up to 12 cards plus cash while still being this minimal design that fits in your pocket with ease. There's over 30 colors and styles including carbon fiber and burnt aluminium, and the durable material means each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. But I'm actually even more excited about this Ridge key case because honestly, I kind of hate regular keychains. I don't know, I always feel like the keys end up in some weird position where they poke your leg, and that's obviously not an issue with this. That plus, since the keys always stay in the same order with this, getting the right key out when you're fumbling to lock the door in the morning is super easy because like with this, I know that the top key is always the one for my front door. So get the best offer at ridge.com/Seb. That's ridge.com/Seb. All right. Lolliedieb, thank you so much for joining me once again. For those of you who don't know, Lolliedieb is the developer of lolMiner, and we're here together today to both talk about some of the biggest moments in sort of GPU mining now for 2022, and also to look ahead into the future 2023 and beyond, to sort of speculate a little bit what's coming up. Maybe he has some cool new things that he's working on that he might be able to share. I don't know, I haven't asked him yet, so maybe not, but hopefully. Anyway, Lolliedieb, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. So, let's start.
Yeah, so I think there are three main things about 2022 that I would love to talk about with you. The first one, obviously, being LHR being broken by you and other miners. We have already got a in-depth discussion about how that all worked, but I would love to just talk a little bit now looking back at it and stuff like that. Second thing is obviously the Ethereum merge and sort of the fallout from that. And the third thing I want to talk about is obviously KASPA mining, and specifically KASPA mining efficiency, which is something recently that you've made really like big waves with. So yeah, should we just jump into LHR and talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure.
Also, feel
like
free
to
to
know.
interrupt me at any point if there's anything you want to talk about as well, because I can go on and on when I get excited, and I love talking with you, so there you go. But yes, LHR, we obviously for about a year or so, maybe a little bit less, saw these incremental breaks where we went from 50% hash rate to 65 to 70 and so on, until we finally saw the full 100% unlock. And as I mentioned, we already have a call, a recorded call on my channel discussing sort of how that all worked. But something I really want to bring up is how you said Nvidia could just go in and release a driver that would completely wipe out LHR overnight. And funny thing, after the Ethereum merge, that's exactly what they did, wasn't it? So you were like spot on with that.
Well, that prediction indeed did age well.
Yeah, it really did.
That's right. I actually was a little bit surprised they did it, because I thought they won't do it. But well, in fact, it was all of the time only a software thing. You know, the GPUs indeed had some switch inside that allowed them, let's say, to turn up the memory latency a lot. And when you add too much latency to memory calls, then, well, ethhash will just go slow. And that's exactly what LHR did. But still, the switches needed to be triggered somehow by software. And this was buried quite deep into the driver. And, well, yeah, that's exactly what they did. They just removed that part.
Yeah.
So we still can see those devices that were meant to be LHR, because we can read out, of course, the device IDs. And also, if you install the old drivers, they will still act like LHR cards. But now with this little thing removed in the newer ones from, I guess it was 520 series of driver and newer, well, there's literally no difference anymore between them and the previous full hash rate versions of them.
So LHR was basically just a feature that they just decided to remove after the Ethereum merge. I'm guessing after that happened, they started selling a lot less GPUs all of a sudden, and then they were just trying to do anything they could to maybe get some miners to buy more GPUs. And I guess from your perspective, have you seen sort of, did you notice, I don't know how much you can see from people using your miner and things like that, but are you under the impression that after that driver, there was a bit of an increase in ETH hash rate, or you couldn't really tell a difference? Because I'm like, there are still other coins using that algorithm even after the merge.
Well, not really, because it was kind of broken before. We had before this 100% unlock, and let's say every miner operation you did it on a serial scale did use some kind of 100% unlock before. The only difference now is, of course, that we don't anymore need to trick the driver. Because that was what we needed to do before. Yeah, we need to convince it. Yeah, you're fine. This is not LHR. It's all okay. Yeah, continue on. And well, this did lead to some instabilities, and so we now can of course see some users switching driver versions to the newer ones where the LHR is removed completely, because we then don't need these tricks anymore, and so. Yeah, we achieve better stability by that. But generally, in terms of hash rate, there's no difference to the previous solutions. Maybe a little bit for some algorithms where the previous unlock didn't work that well, for example, on 𝗕𝗙𝗙𝗖𝗢𝗎 on ergo mining. But I don't see much hash rate spikes or something like that coming from this new approach, because almost every miner already had this 100% unlock before. Yeah. Some of them very stable, especially on the 515 driver. With that, there was not really an issue anymore. So. Yeah. With one exception, this is RTX 3050 and the 3080 12 gigabytes version. Right. With newer cards that did arrive later. For them, we only had this like 90% unlock, and well, those of course improved to 100% now. But there were rather a minority of cards because they were released quite late this spring, where people already did know the merge will come, and there wasn't that much new hardware sold during that time.
Yeah, it's only stupid guys like me who actually went and bought those cards.
Well, myself too, but because we needed some testing cards.
Yeah, no, but I mean, that's exactly it. And I didn't buy the 3050. I did, however, pay way too much for the 3080 12 gig, and that is a good point. I haven't even tried that on ETH hash after the full like unlock by Nvidia. I remember getting a little bit over 100 mega hash on it with the 90% unlock in lolMiner. But yeah, I'm guessing that would get to maybe 120 mega hash, something like that now then. Not that I think a lot of people would care, because not a lot of people have that GPU for mining anyway. But it could be
it's now in fact very, very, very close to the TI version or 3090 with low overclocks.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the merge, what's sort of been your experience of what has happened to GPU mining? Obviously, it's wiped out profitability for most people paying normal electricity prices. How has that how's it affected you? What have you seen? What's going on your end with that?
Well, obviously it was quite horrible, yeah. Already when it's not yet there, like in August or July, as a miner developer, well, we had all the numbers and we did know, okay, if you look to GPU mining market, like 90% of it were Ethash, yeah, and then now you know this will come to an end, and there was no indicator for the other coins profitability suddenly increasing, like shooting 10 times up. So it was quite clear for us that once the state is there, well, also our income would break down by 90%. All of a sudden, and you see this like multiple weeks or months in advance, and there's just nothing you can do about it. There's a cliff coming, and well, you literally have no chance. Was a lot of focusing, of course, to get the most out of it the last weeks, and well, then also maybe a little bit preparing what comes after, but you can't really prepare for that. In my opinion, in general, for GPU mining, it wasn't a good thing. Obviously, due to the profitability, but also for those coins still using GPU mining, because we had quite some concentration then of hash rate in countries with very low energy price. So got some centralization due to that. That we probably won't have without the merge, because just think here about Europe. If you're somewhere in Scandinavia, where you have sometimes varying energy prices depending on how much wind and water energy is just there, well, then it might be still okay. But if you think about like here for me in Middle Europe, where well, we have some renewables, but the amount is still so low that we're dominated by the cost of power made from coal and gas. Well, with energy prices of 30 cents plus something, you don't have a chance anymore to mine anything profitable unless you're jumping on some very, very small project that's just unknown and do some risk mining on that. Because you hope it will skyrocket, but yeah.
So do you have anything sort of that you're working on? Because I'm kind of alluding to like all the work you did for KASPA optimization, where obviously like one way of combating both the high electricity prices and the low profitability for mining is optimizing for efficiency, like more hash rate per watt. And we will get into the work you did on KASPA, which was incredible. You basically brought back GPU mining profitability out of nowhere, which was incredible to see. But do you foresee anything else along those lines happening?
Well, of course, energy efficiency got much more important now with the code. It's no longer about squeezing really the last mega hash out of a card, but rather keeping the energy intake bounded. Yet KASPA was kind of a surprise also for me. I mean, we have been supporting this since July or so. back then only with dual mining, and I did expect this coin to be kind of taken over by FPGAs completely, because the algorithm is very well suited for it. And well, but I was only partially right. It's indeed, FPGAs are much more profitable on it. But yeah, what I did overestimate was the total number of FPGAs that are out there. So like every single device that can mine it will mine it right now. But still, it's not enough, obviously, to push GPUs completely out of the network. That might look different if we still would have the merge not yet in place, and we would have something more profitable taking out the GPU hash rate. But the way it is now, it still is one of the most profitable coins out there. Speaking about Nvidia GPUs, that's especially the case because it uses almost no memory operation at all. And well, we have seen ETH also was quite good to tune and quite efficient, because there we were able to clock down the core quite a lot and just keeping memory up. And now it's exactly the opposite. We keep the core rather high and memory down, very much down. And Nvidia GPUs have the interesting property that when you only have one of the two up, then using the offset values when overclocking can give you some extra efficiency, like when you increase, when you lower core clock a lot, then you can use memory offsets to get more memory speed out of it. When we have memory low as this 810 megahertz that we now set, then we are allowed on the other side to use the core clock offset, which in fact does not really increase the core clock, but instead gives us some movement on the core voltage curve, allowing us to undervolt the cards. Interestingly, this doesn't work at the same time. So if you think about capo or procpo or stuff like that, where we use memory and core, there we can't undervolt for some reason, because well, power states seem to be locked. If we go with memory too high, then we're no longer allowed to undervolt the core. But well, for KASPA it works, and well, that of course makes it quite efficient. Other thing that makes it quite efficient is just the instruction set of Nvidia GPUs fitting quite well to the algorithm, and also, well, the biggest jump in efficiency I had when adding tensor core optimizations.
Yeah.
So in fact, this is the first proof of work I've been working on that is making use of the tensor cores on and Ampere GPUs. Yeah.
So would you say those two together is what gave you this like big jump in efficiency? But the tensor cores and their sort of realization of turning the memory clock way down allowed for moving the voltage core on the core.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the 2 points making the most of the efficiency gain there. Well, but we also, but there's still the elephant in the room, that's a price. Well, KASPA also did shoot up like 2 or 3 times in price within 2 weeks, and that obviously also helped a lot. Yeah, without that, it won't be as popular as it is now. Even though the price, since the spike already is down like 40% again, without this huge shoot up we had in October, well, we won't be far off where we are now.
Yeah, and that's a good point, and something I'm actually making a video about coming out soon is sort of like what would need to happen to sort of increase GPU mining profitability again? Because there's a lot of different things that could happen, like obviously efficiency optimizations within miners and stuff like that, but also all it really takes for a coin to be a lot more profitable is for the price to go up. And we saw that with KASPA, just like you said. With KASPA, it was kind of the perfect storm of like coin price went up kind of at the same time as the efficiency optimizations happened, which was obviously great for all of us. But if something like that could happen with a coin that has both like a GPU centric algorithm and a little bit of a higher market cap as well, which would allow for like more mining reward distribution than on KASPA, because it's still somewhat of a small coin. It would completely change the landscape for GPU mining, at least to some extent. And I also had a note. I didn't want to interrupt you while you were talking, but you said something about 𝗘𝗫𝗏, which was like, unfortunately, this offset thing about moving the voltage curve, it only allows you to do it if you either have the memory clock way down or the core clock way down for the other clock.
Actually, you always can overclock the memory. You always can use memory offset. But unfortunately, this trick with keeping voltage on the core low, that then will let you into crashes. So unfortunately, that does not work. It works on the AMD cards, but sadly not on Nvidia's, which are more popular right now.
Yeah, well, the thing I wanted to say is we've before heard things that were, you know, supposedly impossible until guys like you got their hands on the code for it. You know, with LHR, for example, you know, people said cracking LHR would be impossible. Now, I don't understand the coding side of it, and you know, if you say it won't work, it won't. But I'm just saying that if anyone could crack something like that, it would be someone like you. So just to you know, I'm not gonna try to jinx it or anything, but we'll see.
Yeah, but as far as I know, this is something about the power states of the GPU right now. So maybe we can do another bold prediction, like Nvidia may be able to change that.
Okay.
But right now, I'm not able to. Not yet.
Not yet. Exactly. Not yet. You hear that, guys? All right. So we've I think
well, we also did think that Pascal GPUs cannot lock memory down, or well, also Turing can lock it down, but in fact we later on found some secret functions in Nvidia code that allowed us to do so. So who knows?
Exactly. Nothing is impossible. It's all just about finding the needle in the haystack, isn't it?
Yeah, often, yeah.
So yeah, we've spoken about sort of the biggest things that happened this year. So should we try to look ahead a little bit? Do you have anything sort of on your horizon? It could either be something that you're working on or something that you sort of foresee happening or anything along those lines.
Well, we already did say the big change for GPU mining will come when the price comes up. So I guess when we have the next like bigger bull run, things will look much more brighter than they are now. Just imagine if all of the coin prices would go like 3 or 4 times up, then it would easily be profitable for much more people in much more regions again. So that's still the big elephant in the room. Right now, coding miners is indeed quite complicated, because before it was like the only focus was hash. Yeah, and then well, obviously the moment the KASPA price did move that much, well, it was easy to change the mind to, okay, now I need to optimize this. But after that, yeah, okay, what you're going to do next? And you realize there are quite some small projects that did rise up, but where you don't really have any guarantee. Will they move? Will it be big? Will it be small? If it's worth doing it, or will FPGAs take that coin? Or yeah, so right now it is like really like the kid in the sweet store.
Yeah.
Okay, damn, I can't really decide what to do. So
Well, you
right
know
now,
what? You know what I think you should focus on, because we spoke about that a little bit before we started the
yeah,
recording here. But yeah, I'm not gonna spoil that if that's not something you want, like publicly.
it's a little bit further down in my priority list. What I'm doing right now is doing a lot of code cleanup, especially. A lot of work in my back end that, well, have grown into a mess the last 5 years of doing so. Like, well, there's, for example, one CPU code controlling 𝗧𝗦 codes. Yeah, quite complicated code, still including stuff like 𝗙𝗙𝗙𝗪𝗔𝗟 dual mining on AMD side, still the old zombie mode. Well, all of those code fragments that had grown into it over time. Then there's completely different backend stuff for 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪𝗧𝗦 mining. Then there's another one for KASPA mining. And what I'm doing right now is cleaning all that up, trying to merge as much code as possible. Just also to allow myself to quicker react then onto new things coming up. For example, right now, if a new algorithm would pop up that would be cool for dual mining, then I could add it for 𝗧𝗦 or ETC mining, but it would be the same hacky implementation again then doing this dual with Ergo. Yeah, and would be same doing the same stuff with something else. Or if you think about 𝗧𝗦𝗪𝗏 mining, yeah, this stop main mining algorithm, then do small time 𝗧𝗦𝗪 and then change back to the original code. This is something I have done for 𝗧𝗦, but I haven't done it for all the other algorithms because it needs the back end to know when to start, when to stop a code. And yeah, coding one thing like 5 times can be really annoying, and therefore I'm trying to merge and unify right now as much of my code as somehow possible, so to in future quicker at new algorithms and new ideas and sorting stuff.
Yeah, just kind of trimming the code down to make implementing new features easier in the future.
Yeah, and keep it maintainable at all.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, then you also have exactly the same thing, not only once, but having it twice, once with 𝗢𝗚, once with OpenCL.
Yeah.
And maybe even a third time, because Intel needs some different tricks for OpenCL.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can imagine this is some code that's quite hard to maintain right now.
Yeah. So speaking of that, what do you foresee sort of on the Intel side? Is it kind of just another, or do you see something that might be a bit interesting coming up with Intel GPUs?
In fact, I'm of the opinion that the hardware itself isn't bad at all. Problem is more on the software side right now, because for example in Linux we still have, well, the only thing we can do is we can read out the core clock and some temperatures, and we can actually set a power limit if we would like, but that's it. We can't really control clocks right now, and doing undervolt and stuff like that, and so that of course drives the inputs quite inefficient right now.
Okay, so it's more to do with just you're very limited with what you can do with them. It's not it's not necessarily that actual GPUs are bad by any means.
Not at all. Also, we did speak about earlier. I mentioned that, for example, having tensor cores or specialized functions can be quite useful for KASPA mining, for example. And the problem is these new Intel GPUs actually have units that would be able to accelerate it, but unfortunately, the way it's not yet exposed in OpenCL. So, well, with a newer driver, having some extra OpenCL intrinsics that can use these instructions, we might be able to get much more performance as well as energy efficiency out of them. And unfortunately, we don't have the tools yet to code that.
Yeah.
So, if I'm going, also a bold prediction, but I guess with full-blown software stack like we'd like it to have, I guess we could get like 20-30% more performance out of them at well, let's say 40% increased energy efficiency.
That's very significant.
Very significant. They still won't be able, of course, to compete with like Nvidia 4000 series or new RDNA 3 cards. They won't. But let's say they can be quite certainly on the same level as Nvidia Turing generation, for example.
Okay.
It's more the software side holding them back. I guess once the software is sorted out, they could be quite good, especially since they're having a very low price point if you compare to any other graphic cards that has been released this year so far. So
yeah, definitely. Well, that's actually something I did want to ask you about as well. Is what are your sort of insights into these new GPU generations that are coming out? So the 4000 series from Nvidia, for example. What's your opinion on them? What have you seen in terms of performance and efficiency? And yeah, what are your opinions on them, basically? Wait, just quickly before we move on, I need to tell you about our sponsor, Octominer. They are currently running a sale of 15% off all of their GPU server cases, plus another 15% off of shipping as well. But not only that, they've also reduced their minimum order quantity to just one, meaning that this is the best opportunity yet to pick up an Octominer at a fantastic price. To get the discount, go to octominer.com and enter the code OCTOMAS22 during checkout. Alright, now back to the video.
Well, Nvidia 4000 series are great, they're just way too expensive. So performance was really, really good out of the box. And also they were quite easy to code and behaved more or less exactly like we expected them to be. With one exception, they keep their good energy efficiency up to quite high clock rates. Of course, if you really turn them up to the default clocks, well, that's a little bit too high, but you just need to go like 200, 300 megahertz below that, and energy efficiency will be just great. And this is something definitely different from previous generation Ampere, where, well, when you get somewhere close to 2 gigahertz, well, then energy efficiency, like on KASPA mining, is all over the place, but nowhere good. They really need to go down to like more than 500 megahertz down to 1500 megahertz or below. Then you're getting great numbers. And for other generation, that's much better. You even can clock them up to like 2.2 gigahertz or something like that, and still get like 8 megahash per watt or something like that. And so that's quite cool. For AMD, the 7000 series, well, in fact, they didn't grow up that much in core clock power. then not core clock power, in core power, as we expected them to be. For some gaming, they did, because of this new dual instructions they have. So they sometimes now can process two different instructions at the same time on the GPU.
Okay.
But unfortunately, only floating point, which is quite useless for mining operations. They were more interested in the integer performance. What they have improved quite a lot is the memory side, though. So if we would still have 𝗧-hash, they would be awesome, because now we're finally also reaching 100 megahash plus on an AMD GPU. So for 𝗧-hash, that would be great. Unfortunately, we don't have 𝗧-hash anymore. So, well, we still have, but only in some minor coins and in ETC mining.
What about something that like core power that uses both core and memory?
I guess that could work quite good. What was a little bit annoying on the AMD side, though, was the out-of-box performance wasn't that good for me, because a little bit more complicated to program. Once you have figured out what you need to do different, what they had changed, well, then it's okay, and you can find a solution. But especially when you have like huge codes written in hand-style assembly, then you might be doing some stuff the GPUs don't like at all. And once you know what you're searching for, you can rearrange stuff, and then it's okay. But well, that was something a little bit annoying, because in the beginning, the pure OpenCL kernel with no optimizations at all was indeed faster than my self-written assembly, and I saw, what the heck did they do that? that then later changed, but yeah, we saw it on like the 𝗧-900 in KASPA. We started with like 600 megahash per second, and we were like, that can't be. Then switched to some pure OpenCL, and we're suddenly into the 900s. And then later on, once figured out what's going on, we were able to go like to 1040 or something like that. But you really needed to first dive deep into the architecture to find out what's going on there, why they were so slow on our first attempt.
Yeah, I think that's something that's kind of we're seeing in my side of the sort of GPU mining space too, is that like when they first came out, people were a bit underwhelmed by them, and then we sort of realized, no, we need to wait for the optimizations to happen here. It won't be like with the 4000 series where they were kind of great right off the bat. One thing I will say that I think is limiting the 4000 series right now in terms of just like practically using them for mining rigs is how thick they are. You know, they don't fit in mining rigs. They take up 2 whole GPU spaces basically. So, you know, you could
not only that, also when you have something like boxes, they're just too long. I already have the problem with some, I guess it was an MSI 3070 Ti or something like that, where I really needed to remove the delta fans of my rig, those in front, because the car was too long, and it didn't fit in its length. And now 4000 series are even worse than that. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's great that they're putting these big coolers on the cards, you know, to cool them properly, but you know, at some point you gotta hit like where it's not realistic anymore, you know.
Yeah, we certainly also don't want to go back like 15-20 years where we had a GPU taking less than 200 watts but was loud like a starting airplane just to get it cool. Yeah, because the coolers were really bad back then. But of course, yeah, I'm also hoping that from AMD with some lower tier 7000 series cards like 7800 or something like that, we will get a new reference design with taking only 2 slots.
Yeah, that would be great.
Because I've got a quite tiny desktop computer at home where only 2 slots fit in. I really would like to have some recent hardware in there, but
yeah,
right now, current generation, it's just a no-go. It won't fit.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to stop for today, because we only have 1 minute left on our Zoom call here anyway. Lolliedieb, thank you so much for joining me. Anyone watching, obviously, go check out lolMiner. Amazing KASPA performance, as well as great overall performance on most coins that you're going to want to mine. But that's about it. Yeah, thanks for joining me.
Have a good start into 2023. Bye.
Bye.